while the rest of our students were in medical clinics. 2 of our students spent a total of 3 weeks working at a nonprofit in southern Malawi.
I'm in the International Rescue and Relief Program, taking global community development as my emphasis, and also in business school doing finance and accounting, looking to find somewhere where those meet, where I can pair the two.
I'm also an International Rescue and Relief major. I'm actually pairing that with a mathematics minor, and eventually I'd love to work in international development, so being here in Malawi is an excellent opportunity to see what it actually looks like on the ground.
Yeah, this year's project is focusing on building a sustainable carpentry shop. So they are working with bamboo as a resource and upcycled pallets.
The project idea that we were doing was actually trying to set up a sustainable workshop for bamboo through which local community members can come to the EcoLODGy Center here and learn about how to actually set up sustainable entrepreneurship, as well as receive the skills that they need to start up their own businesses working with bamboo. A lot of people are running their businesses off of cutting down trees and burning bricks and things like that, and these are all contributing to climate change, and in Malawi the situation is beginning to get dire, and replacing some of these I guess business ideas with sustainable practices that use bamboo, things that actually contribute back into the environment is really helpful. And therefore we're setting up a workspace where individuals can teach community members how to work with bamboo and set up their own businesses.
The Global Community Development track, or emphasis in the IRR program, is newer. It's something that was developed a few years ago when my wife and I came back to teach for IRR. We had graduated from IRR, gone on and gotten our Master's in International Development Administration, and then worked for ADRA overseas, and we felt IRR prepared us well in many ways, but that there were things that we still wish we'd learned in undergrad that would have helped us be more prepared and more capable. So we created the Global Community Development track along with Rick Young, and really tried to focus more on like project management, cultural perspectives and development, policy, accounting, economics, like some more of the business ideas and principles that would actually help somebody have a more holistic approach to the management side and to run large-scale multi-million-dollar projects that could be high impact in some of the more austere places in the world. It adds a third element to the program. You know, our medical track is pretty strong for those wanting to work in pre-professional, dentistry, pre-med, pre-vet, pre-PT. You know, that whole is quite robust. Our public safety as well. We've got a well-established success pattern of people getting into law enforcement, fire, EMS, even military, special forces, emergency management. So we wanted to add this as an option and to grow more of that international side of the program, people being able to work high impact with development and humanitarian aid projects in countries that often have lower resources. EcoLODGy, or EcoLODGy, depending on how you want to pronounce it, it's a really cool local nonprofit here in Malawi.
Yeah, I'm Martina Kunert from Germany. I am the Managing Director of EcoLODGy, Sustainability and Permaculture Center here in Malawi.
They are primarily focusing on sustainable agriculture and permaculture, intercropping, and like how to work with the soil and give back.
What we want in the end is that people understand again that the way that soil naturally works is based on the soil food web, as we call it, which is the microbiology in the soil. And if those guys are there in the right proportions and the right balance, they do the whole work for us. And we have been here since 2016 on this place. It's a 2.8 hectare demonstration place for permaculture landscape design. So we have been regenerating, or are still regenerating, the landscape from barely nothing to becoming nature again. And we're using this place to host people, to inspire people, and to teach people kind of life as we go along.
It's a faith-based organization as well, so it partners with our values. And they've been on operation for about 8 years here in the country and really have shown success. And it's a really cool organization to work with. They also focus on sustainable architecture, especially with a lot of the deforestation problems that Malawi is struggling with.
A big problem here in Malawi is actually deforestation.
Last video, we specifically covered the endangered Malanje cedar, but it's not just the cedar that's becoming more scarce. Malawi has a deforestation and sustainable building problem.
And I think it's an important concept in development, is that sustainability aspect. So our students are able to come here and work here, They actually write a proposal or grant the semester prior working with EcoLODGy, and then are able to come and help implement that project here in Malawi, and then share that information with donors who have helped to make it possible, and also get a full project cycle in before they even graduate from IRR. Very experiential learning, which is like what we love to do.
I guess for me it's also been interesting to see how projects are run in a different country, and how buildings are constructed using different resources than what we're used to. Seeing how the locals rely a lot on networking and connections that they've already formed with random people in the market to get their supplies in and things like that is really interesting.
One example is going into the hardware stores. It's different than going into Home Depot or Lowe's back home.
A lot different from how we would typically do it in America.
So they're helping create a workshop as well as an open air training space where people will be able to come and learn the techniques of how to treat bamboo so that weevils won't enter it and damage it, make it like a long-lasting product, and then use like a much more sustainable resource than like cutting down the Malawi cedars that take generations to grow. Beautiful hardwood, but it's not growing fast enough to replace how fast it's being cut down. So if we could transition to a much more sustainable product, it would actually help a lot with deforestation and like sustainable carpentry and building.
As the country has industrialized, Malawians have gone away from traditional building practices and have begun to use more Western techniques. In a lot of ways, this has worked out well, but these techniques haven't been properly adapted for Malawi's unique situation. The current construction practices often involve either framing with timber or burned bricks. Bricks are made here by stacking up the bricks to burn, piling wood on top of the stack, and then lighting it all on fire. This both uses up what little trees Malawi has left and often doesn't burn hot enough to make quality bricks. EcoLODGy is working to retrain Malawians in more sustainable building techniques.
Yeah, here we have one example of the natural buildings that we are teaching people to make and to rediscover also some of the traditionally influenced building styles. If you have been around Malawian villages, then you have maybe seen a lot of roofs that are metal roofs nowadays, or you have seen kind of grass roofs that are in this kind of angle with lots of plastic sheets underneath. Obviously the microplastics contamination that comes from that in the community is also really high, but on the long run actually those become more expensive than if we do proper roofing with the traditional thatching methods. And inside we have a house that's made from rammed earth, which is a technique where we literally take a formwork and we ram a specific mix of soil that is locally found in many areas in Malawi. So we don't need any burned bricks, we don't need any firewood to do anything. We have done these houses in several locations now. We have a couple of examples of that on the compound here, but also started doing that with communities. And it's something that really inspires even higher income Malawians now, because it's a very climate friendly but also climate smart technique where we don't need much heating and much cooling. The walls are very insulating, very natural, but it's very cool and very beautiful inside. And you see different materials used in this building are soil stabilized blocks. So they are made from 95% soil just from the ground here. And these bricks have been tested by the university here in Blantyre to be 3 times stronger than what they normally got to test. So that was really amazing. And we don't need any firewood again for these blocks because they are completely just compressed and then cured by moisture. Very beautiful, very versatile. So it's a really cool way of avoiding the big impact that fire brick burning has in Malawi on deforestation as well.
It's definitely a couple different challenges that we've encountered thus far. One of those being cultural challenges, the way that we operate and plan construction and things like that in America versus how things are run here in the cultural context. So when we're planning, when the carpenter, for example, is planning how much roofing material he needs, just kind of makes a rough estimate without actually measuring it out, so that can make it difficult when we're actually trying to get specific numbers for budgeting based on the amount of grant money that we've received for this project.
It's a very different culture than I'm used to, but getting to see how these people work, and lots of very hard workers, so getting to kind of share that part of their culture has been super cool to see. Another one of the major problems challenges we've encountered is due to inflation, our
The costs of resources and materials are going up significantly just from day to day.
So we've run through our budget a number of times. Each day the prices change.
So we can call a store one day and get an estimate for, say, how much metal roofing is going to cost.
Our numbers in the morning are different from when we actually go and make the purchases that same day, that afternoon.
All of a sudden our price is up by 10,000 kwacha, then no longer meets our budget. So that's definitely been a difficulty we've been facing.
Deforestation isn't the only problem Malawi is facing right now. The country is currently in a state of hyperinflation. The local currency here is the Malawian kwacha. Last year when we visited Malawi, the exchange rate was $1 for 1,035 Malawian kwacha. This year, the kwacha has lost almost half its value compared to the same time last year, for a rate of $1 to 1,735 Malawian kwacha.
Now we are facing tremendous troubles in Malawi economically, as the world does, but it's much, much more vulnerable here, and the people we work with are very heavily affected to the extent that they really don't have enough to eat anymore, even if they have salaries and even if they have a job somewhere, they're really struggling, like everyone around us. And so it's really redefining how can we make a sustainable income model that now with this inflation and also with the devaluation of the kwacha, that's the main challenge. We have to depend more on external funding or on external, let's say, income. It's not easy when you are at the stage of like a startup that you don't have, it's a bit of a vicious cycle. You don't have the kind of capital to pay people a lot of money to come and help, but in order to grow there, people would need to kind of dedicate themselves first to grow to a stage where everybody can also earn more money. So it's praying about, the people to come that we need to fill those gaps.
According to the World Bank, Malawi is already the fourth poorest country in the world, with 70% of its population living on less than $2.15 a day. Everyday staple items have almost doubled in price for Malawians because of hyperinflation.
The biggest strategy is just praying, really, and listening more. God knows He has the plan, and we still pray that He provides and guides us in the process. And so that's, for some people, that sounds a bit crazy if they don't know Him, but that's exactly what we as a leadership team here have decided to do. So either we will have to give up the place and start from scratch in another place with the mission that we're really here for, or God will allow this place to be maintained as the basis for what we really want to do, but we want to do everything for God and with God, and we really have a clear vision for that, and so that needs to be just followed, and the right people for that needs to be added by Him to the movement, so to say.
I would really love to see this partnership with EcoLODGy continue to grow. We really want to prepare students to be as effective as possible when they graduate. So the more hands-on experiential learning they can have as quickly as possible too when they hit the ground running.
It's really good real-world experience. Things are run differently, and so just getting some of that logistical experience and how you might run a project overseas is really good to see, and kind of broaden my level of awareness on how to run different projects.
I think also it's helping us by showing us how much we don't know, especially when it comes to working in other cultures, give us more perspective on how much there is to learn and how much adaptation is needed when you're working in a different culture, in a different country, and definitely something that I look forward to continuing to learn in the future.